Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are able to see me this morning. I am in a slightly different location using a different Wi-Fi, so I do hope that everyone can see me and hear me. I'm sure, knowing you as I do, that you will let me know. And yes, Rachel, it is a beautiful day today, like yesterday, a beautiful day, and a perfect day to start with learning and widening our horizons. And that's what we're going to do. So let me first wish long life. We have a lot of yortzites today. So firstly, to those that we're saying Kaddish for because they've been passed away during the year. Leah Bas Feivel, Tivi Bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shlomo ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer ben Shmuel Teret, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Tzipora Fegel Bas Reuben Baruch, Shalom ben Elieli, Bena Bas Feivel, Pumish Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel. In addition, the learning is dedicated in memory of Tava Rachel Bas Ben Sion and Shaul ben Moshe, Fegel Bas Reuben, Yaakov ben Shimon, Inda Bas Aaron, Lezer Bas Ben Fisher, Avram ben Elimelech, Leah Bas Moshe. We wish their respective families long life and only simchas. How are we doing? So let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel, I think in COVID, it was a particular pertinent question for all of us, that people are pressing our buttons, that somebody is antagonizing us, somebody's annoying us, right? And we always seem to be irritated. Something gets to us, right? It could be we're in a confined space, we're not able to get out, our plans have been messed up. I remember recently, it happens actually quite often, that you leave your stuff in a certain place, in a certain way, and bless my 2-year-old, she'll come in and literally just destroy the place. And then I'll spend the next hour trying to find everything. Now, there are always going to be things, as we've discussed before, that are going to antagonize us, irritate us, annoy us. What is the idea? What is the reaction and response for a Jewish person to when we find ourselves facing challenges and difficulties? Let's have a look and learn about one of the most crucial concepts possible to for us in living life, a meaningful life. What's the difference between success and failure in the world that we live? So let's look at it. So Asar Nisyonis Nisnasa Avram Avinu. Abraham had to endure, as we know, 10 trials, 10 tests. Va'amad b'kulan, and he managed to overcome, he withstood them all. Lodia kamachi basa shel Avram Avinu. And that demonstrates to us the degree of love that Abraham had for God. Okay? Let's say a couple more statements, because they're all on the same lines. Asar and Nisim Nasu Lavasenu Mitzrayim. There were 10 miracles that were performed for our forefathers in Egypt. Notice the link. The same word, Nisayon, which is a test or a trial or an ordeal, is the same word as nes, for miracle. So we'll come to that in a minute. So 10 miracles, Nasu Lavasenu Mitzrayim, were performed for our forefathers in Egypt. Va'asar layam, and there were 10 performed for them by the sea, the splitting of the sea. Esem makus haviyakadosh baruch hu Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim ve'esar layam, and there were 10 miracles, as we mentioned yesterday, that were performed, the 10 plagues, and 10 by the sea. Okay. So now let's. Now let me explain a bit about these trials, these ordeals. So one of the questions, we know that Abraham was the founder of monotheism in the world. He discovered God, okay? Even though his father was in fact in idolatry in a big way. His father was in wholesale. He used to sell it by the truckload. Abraham discovered God. He looked to see what the source of power was in the world, and he recognized that whatever he was attributed to power, be it the moon, the sun, the wind, the rain, there was always something that must have created that or caused that or given that power, and therefore he arrived at a realization that it was God. Now, having said that, the question exists. So Abraham's what was his first test was leaving his father's home, right, and leaving behind everything that he knew, and then basically going on a journey, not knowing where he was going, on a great odyssey for himself and for future generations, and God revealed himself as a consequence. What was the 10th test? 10th test for Abraham was the binding of Isaac, right? Which essentially was being prepared to sacrifice life for God. And one of the questions that is often asked is, if we think about the Holocaust 70 years ago approximately, and we think about for some of us, it was our great uncles, great aunts, I know it was in my case, that were killed in the Holocaust. And we think about those that went before them in the Crusades, in Tachvatat, in the pogroms, right? In all the various emancipations and all the different places that we found ourselves in the world. And each occasion, we found ourselves persecuted, kicked from pillar to post, right? The question is as follows. They also were willing and did make the ultimate sacrifice for God, because they died al Kiddush Hashem. They died because they were simply Jewish. So therefore, why is it that Abraham is seen as the paragon and the paradigm when it comes to test and trial? Yes, he had 10 tests, but I think we all have tests. Yes, his tests were on a completely different level to most of what we experience. But having said that, the ultimate test is being willing to sacrifice one's life. And that Abraham was prepared to do. But many, many, many millions, perhaps, of Jews subsequently have done so. And the answer is, let me give you an analogy, okay? If we imagine that we were on, I don't know, we were out in the wild in, I don't know, South Africa, Australia, and it's very rough, so it's very hard to walk. But all of a sudden you see in the bush, you notice that there is a kind of a path that somebody has made because they have walked in this direction beforehand. Then we naturally are going to be able, despite how difficult it is to get through the forest, to get through the rough, we'll, through walking on their path, be able to get through it much easier. That's exactly what happened with Abraham. In other words, where somebody has been there before, where it is a well-trodden path, where they have paved the way for us, it's much easier for us to follow on afterwards. And therefore, it's true that there have been Jews that throughout the course of the millennia have had to and been prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice and give up their lives simply for what they believed in, for what they stood for God, for being Jewish. But that only came much easier to them because their forefather did it before them, because it was a well-trodden path. And that was the greatness of Abraham. Now, therefore, that doesn't mean that if we don't give up our lives, we are not passing tests. They say in life that you only get at any point in your life a test, an ordeal, a trial, which you are ready to deal with. In other words, if you think about it, let's take an assault course. Let's take the Israel's finest, the Sayeret Matkal, or the Navy SEALs in Israel. So if they overcome on the first training course, you know, they managed to run 100 kilometers with a 20-kilo backpack, and they're overcoming these big, climbing over walls, and the walls are 4 foot tall, right? And they managed to accomplish it. There would not be any accomplishment if they did the same assault course again and they went over the same walls. They've done it. It's not a big deal. But the next time they have to do it, and I know that this in fact does happen in Israel in the training, they will stretch them that little bit further. Instead of doing 5 feet walls, they'll do 10 feet walls. Okay? Now the obstacle, the hurdle has become that much harder. That's more challenging. So as you overcome, once you've overcome that hurdle, that trial, that test, once you've been able to do it once, then you can do, then you move on to the next level and the next level, right? It's like climbing the mountain. You reach the first level, and then it's not enough to do the same thing again. You have to push yourself and do the next one and reach higher and higher. And therefore, we may notice throughout our lives that when we're little, you know, we find ourselves being tested in a way. We're tested in school, we're tested in terms of our behavior, but the behavior that a youngster gets away with and the behavior that hopefully an adult gets away with are meant to be, and I say are meant to be, completely different. radically different. Now, sometimes, regrettably, that's not the case. And we can find people we see in our own lives, people that are basically just big children. But if we are actually maturing with age, then we should be on a completely different level. So the things that irritate and annoy us when we are younger no longer annoy us when we're older. Then they'll be more subtle, more sophisticated, more challenging, more difficulties in our lives. It could be health, it could be relationships, it could be livelihood, it could be, I don't know, and let's say we've done all of that, then it could be, I don't know, it could be something far more difficult. It could be that we've got to deal with mental health issues for ourselves, for our family. There's a million different things that we can be tested with. But the key point is that once you've overcome one level, then in order for you to have free will, in order to be able to make real choices and accomplish and achieve, the bar has to be raised. And now we come back. That word nisayon, which was test or ordeal, we speak in the Amida about takar b'shofar gadol lecheritenu, we should blow the great shofar blast, the sa nes, and lift. That is a banner. That is raising the banner of who we are, right? It may not be a gold medal, but it's the same thing. If you ask my son, who's a very big cyclist, so he did 200 kilometers this week, and he was disappointed because he knows that he's done that before. He needs to do 250, 300, and that would challenge him. So that is the way it is in life. So in other words, yes, it can be frustrating, irritating, annoying when things don't go the way they are. But be aware, have that cognizance inside ourselves. That is part and parcel of life. That is what, in fact, we are here for, to deal with those hassles, headaches, ordeals. In Please God, after 120, we'll sit with a Bacardi and Coke and be able to watch, I don't know, whatever you want to watch. It's not quite like that. It's more like probably eating cholent and kegel and having smoked salmon and bagels and listening to a shir by Rabbi Hackenbrock. I'm joking. But be aware, in the next world is where we will have tranquility. Jacob's very mistake is he wanted the tranquility to live a spiritual, calm life in this world. And God then cast on him many, many challenges. Our life is full of headaches and hassles. That is life. Don't try and think that you are going to overcome it or escape it or avoid it, and then you'll be able to get on life and it'll be calm and tranquil. Life is where there's resistance, where there's ordeals, where there's hurdles, and as long as we are pushing ourselves and overcoming those hurdles, then we'll be succeeding in life. Apologies that we're slightly over time. Let us quickly say Psalm 23. We ask for a full shalema, and we'll have in mind all those that need it, and we are affirming our faith. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, and my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. That's exactly what we just said and we learned about today. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil. Why? Because God is with me, right? Whatever we are, whatever darkness, however troubling it seems that what we're going through, we know that God is with us, and the same way he put us in that situation, we can come out of it. And now for the memorial prayer, we wish long life to all those that have Yortzeit or saying Kaddish. El Melei Rachamim Shoichin Bamlongim Amatzim Nuchanachana Arkan Peshkin Avalos Kedoshim Matorik Azarkim Asirim Es Nishmas Fevirata Bas B'Tzion Shaul ben Moshe Fega Bas Reuben Yaakov ben Shimon Inda Bas Aaron Lezer ben Fisho Avram ben Elimelech Leah Bas Moshe Erika Bas Avram Leah Bas Faivo Tzvi Bas Mordechai Avram ben Dorislavin Shalom ben Yisrael Morris Eliezer ben Shmuel Teretz, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Parafegel Bas Reuben Baruch, Shalom ben Eli ben Bas Faivo from Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel, Shalach Uli Olamam, Begad Eiden Temenuchos Amlachim Balarachamim, Yasti Rein Beseisa Kana Pavli Olamim, V'Yisrael B'Chaim Yisrael Samadinai Nachlasam, V'Yanuchu B'Shlam Mishkavam and Amar Amen. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We wish everyone well. I think we've done everything that we're meant to be doing. We haven't done a full Shlema prayer. Misha Ber Havazin Roman means Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Antam Shlomo Yivarech Rabbi Sacholim. Babu Shana Mispalim Babu Ramis Zegosh Baruch Yimale Rachim Aleihem Lachem Alusam. Nishlachim Fushim and Shmanu Cholbe Besosha Chisro Rufus Nefesh Busagov Hashabagaz Makarev Omar Amen. Guys, it's so great to be learning with you. I got to tell you, this is what I enjoy. The highlight of my day is looking at your messages and seeing and learning with you and seeing that we are making progress through COVID. We are growing and learning each and every day. I am going to be away part of August, but one thing I am going to keep doing is Mishna in the morning, and I'm sure that you will as well, wherever you may be. Take care. Have a great day. Lovely to see you.